parrot and a coyote down the fucking highway battling it out with dynamite and rocketry, and I guess that's normal, or I'll just add a tribute to the alcohol that I've been drinking. Shake my head and throw it over my shoulder and move on as if I didn't see anything. Put liquid LSD into eye drops and drop it directly into his eyes so as to hallucinate at maximum potential, like straight through the visuals of fucking acid on the fucking retina. It's not that I didn't think it was cool anymore. It was the fear of not fitting in and being rejected just took over, and I didn't want to be made fun of, so I would just rather not participate. That got me through, because it turned out when I tried to find my own style, that's when I would stand out, and that's when I would be faced with ridicule or physical abuse from my peers or my older brother. My name is Wes Rodriguez, and this is the Sink or Swim podcast. Well, it's Halloween night, everybody. And another holiday. When you have been relocated and you're no longer connected to your family, mine are separated by states, holidays kind of fucking suck. Nothing better than a holiday to remind you how lonely life can be when you are isolated and separated from your loved ones and friends. And to compound my situation is sobriety. So the places are few and far between where you can go and actually enjoy holidays. And to be quite honest and frank, I've been thinking too much about enjoying some party favors like alcohol and a fucking joint. So those probably aren't the best places to be. So I'll sit down in front of a fucking microphone and tell stories. That seems like the best option for me. I have been working overtime all week, so this will not be a long show. I haven't had much time to sit down and put together too many bullet points or show topics, but I can talk about times past of Halloween. I think it was Brainerd Elementary in Lakeview Terrace, California. Yeah, that was a school I went to when I won I think I came in second place for a Halloween costume contest. I wonder if my mom got photos of that. But God bless her. My mom was the kind of person that would go out of her way. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that had the kind of parents that would scrape together like old drapes or fabric from upholstery of furniture that would be soon discarded, or clothing that can be fashioned into some kind of iconic figure for a child. I can't remember going to a store and picking out a costume, though. That's not the kind of thing my family would do. But my mom would put together outfits and whatnot, but she would go to the length of going to a craft store and then purchasing a pattern and then sewing it herself. She would make crafts and stuff from like ideas that she heard from her friends, or she would read about them in a magazine and put things together. She once put together, as I look back in retrospect, this probably be more suitable to daughters if she had them, but my mom had 4 boys, and I think it was a Christmas present one year. She gave us all like bathroom pouches that she had fashioned from some kind of pattern. I don't know if she read about it or actually got it from a magazine, but she took old jeans that we had and like cut off the legs and sewed up the crotches and turned them into like bags to hold our I don't think we were old enough to be shaving yet, but maybe she had purchased them in hopes that we would become men eventually. She had bought us some hair dryers too, and that would be fuel to my failed attempts at trying to create some kind of hairstyle. Deodorant and shampoo and toothpaste and whatnot, and use some kind of makeshift rope as through the belt loops to tie them all up and cinch together. I'm sure from a parent's perspective that'd be adorable, but I wouldn't be caught dead at a sleepover or a camp with that thing from fear of ridicule. But as an adult, looking back on it, it's endearing. It's very nostalgic to look at those things and wish that I had kept them throughout my life to look back on it. Going back to what I was saying, she would prefer to sit down at a sewing machine and put together something for her children than going out to a store and purchasing it. That's the type of mother she was. And so she had gotten a pattern for me, and I don't remember if I'd picked it out. I might have picked it out, but I believe it was around when Jaws was popular. And I wanted to be a shark for Halloween, and there was a pattern that I would wear. I would have to put a stuffed cone on my head, and the outfit would hang over me like a cloak, and the mouth would be where my face was, and there'd be teeth surrounding it. So the shark would be like pointing skyward as if it was fished out of the ocean and hung up on the dock, I guess. And I think I got second place for that. But it wasn't too many Halloweens after that where I gave up on it. I was very young when it's not that I didn't think it was cool anymore. It was the fear of not fitting in and being rejected just took over, and I didn't want to be made fun of, so I would just rather not participate. And that got me through, because it turned out when I tried to find my own style, that's when I would stand out and would be faced ridicule or physical abuse from my peers or my older brother. And if you have a healthy craving for horror flicks and the sci-fi genre, as I did, being the nerdy kid that I was, I would rather be at home, like eating pizza and drinking Mountain Dew and watching the latest horror flicks and boning up on my slasher films. I think I was not even 18 years old when I'd seen just about every Michael Myers, Freddy Krueger, or Jason Voorhees film, and even further into the horror genre, like Evil Dead and Phantasm. There's not too many people that have seen Phantasm before. Fucking crazy film, where they give a 3-inch chrome ball bearing a proclivity to murder and homicide and then base a movie around it. And that's how I would spend most of my Halloween holidays. Yeah, I led a sheltered childhood, so most of those stories that one would have to tell from teenage lore, like pumpkin smashing or mischief, I lived in fear of facing repercussions from my parents or grounding. So I stayed at home most of the time, and it would be exciting for someone like me to, when I finally wore my mom down with rebellion, that she stopped fighting the fact that I would battle her in every opportunity I could and fight for my freedom. And if she wouldn't give it to me, I would just fail to try to achieve it through success. So eventually she had to loosen her grip, because I was failing to even go to school, and I'd be ditching most of the time and hanging out with friends and partying anyway. So the high points of my Halloween misadventures would be Faces of Death and a 12-pack of Budweiser. Fucking Faces of Death. In comparison to what's available on the internet today, Faces of Death was like Mr. Rogers compared to Jerry Sandusky. I think, and anyway, any of that fucking crap that we bought into being real, like snuff film, like you wouldn't be able to purchase a snuff film, or you wouldn't be able to rent it from a video store back in the day, which Faces of Death was readily available. It was just filmed in a way as if it was a documentary style snuff film, or clips from like traffic footage, and I'm pretty sure some of those scenes might have been real deaths, but they never caught any real death on footage. I think it was all just set up to be Hollywood-style deaths caught on camera. It was all staged, a horror, but filmed in a like a documentary style. But it was still exciting to a kid, fucking freshly drunk off of alcohol. But that was exciting. That was exciting for me as a kid who was just finally breaking free of the parent grip and exploring the world of drugs and alcohol. The first time I ever did acid. No, it wasn't acid. I was told it was acid. First time my best friend Scott and I went to purchase marijuana from a friend at school. They knew they were dealing with rookies, so they were just messing with us the whole time because we weren't familiar with the experience of getting high, and so they were kind of testing our knowledge and convincing us that we wouldn't be safe going home or that we would be caught if we saw any parents or anybody that could report us to authorities because of how high we would be just from like fucking low-grade ground-based marijuana, like fucking dirt weed. And I'm sure in a sense they were securing their own safety because they didn't want to be reported to be the ones that had given fucking these rookies drugs and they didn't want to come back to them. So they were taking every precaution to make us as paranoid as we could build up to be. And they gave us breath mints and whatnot and Visine. And one way of heightening the paranoia was after we had put the eye drops of Visine in, they had told us about how Jimi Hendrix would consume liquid LSD through like his headband, and he would ingest it into his pores of his skin by sweating, and it would activate and then seep into his pores. And he would also put liquid LSD into eye drops and drop it directly into his eyes so as to hallucinate at maximum potential, like straight through the visuals of fucking acid on the fucking retina. And so they had convinced us that they had put liquid LSD into the Visine that we had just dropped into our eyes. And I was fucking stricken with fear and paranoia, and it wasn't even funny. I was scared to death. And so I was convincing myself I was way higher than I was. And by virtue of naivety, I was afraid to speak and to interact with anybody. So I went straight home and turned on my music and hid from the world. And I think I even avoided dinner that night and tried to convince my mom I wasn't feeling well. And when I finally wisened up after enough experience in getting high, I gave that guy an earful, but I had to give him credit because that was pretty damn funny. So those are little glimpses into how I grew up and tales of being a juvenile. And I think I'll talk about one more thing and then I'll wrap it up. I have been watching the Incredible Hulk television show. I've seen a couple episodes. For some reason, I fucking love Netflix, I have to say, because I'm able to capture a lot of the television programming from my childhood that I've missed. And looking back on a TV program filmed in the late 70s is hilarious. The plot devices they used, and they were able to get away with a lot of shit. Like David Banner is a scientist who studied gamma radiation, yet the writers would use the fact that he has a doctorate in science, that he is now all of a sudden familiar with pregnancy and chemistry and medicine. And so I was watching an episode where he's saving an heiress from the family who's trying to kill her by way of the family doctor feeding her drugs intravenously to kill her off so they could collect the riches. And it's hilarious how just hitchhiking on the side of the road would get him into phenomenal adventures. That many stories can develop from just, hanging your thumb up on the side of the road and connecting him to a fucking heiress who's weakened from the drugs that have been fed into her, that he has to carry her into the house where he's a complete stranger and everybody's freaking out. And they lead him up to her bedroom where they promptly lay her down on the bed. And
I feel like when I was growing up in television, there was a whole lot of somebody passes out or gets knocked out or is too high on drugs and whatnot. Like within reach is smelling salts, and that shit's not around today. You don't see that at all. I don't even know how you would get your hands on smelling salts, but it's always within reach in a television program or a movie in the late 70s and 80s. And it's just sitting there on the nightstand when Bruce Banner rescues this girl and carries her up into the mansion and lays her down on the bed and just reaches over to the nightstand right by her head and cracks open the smelling salts, and everybody in the room, it doesn't even like make notice of the fact that why is this readily available? This isn't odd. This person is so weak and sick that they need to revive her back into reality. Like big major holes in the storyline just get skipped right over, and we're caught up into it because we're so naive, and things like propofol are spoken in the home today, like everyday language, by virtue of the fact that we pay attention to the Michael Jackson case, and the average human being knows more today about medicine and psychology than we did in the 70s and 80s. So it's amazing how much they were able to get away with in the storyline, which like 10 years ago, I would probably not be paying attention to the Incredible Hulk television program. But today, having that much time in between, it's hilarious to see that shit. And something like the local hermit bumping into the Hulk can be shrugged off by doing a double take at the whiskey that he's ingesting, like cartoon style, like, oh shit, there goes a rabbit and a coyote down the fucking highway battling it out with dynamite and rocketry, and I guess that's normal, or just that a tribute to the alcohol that I've been drinking. Shake my head and throw it over my shoulder and move on as if I didn't see anything. So I'm looking forward to hours and hours of entertainment. I think there's about 75 episodes of that. So look forward to the secondhand recap on the Sink or Swim podcast. Alrighty, folks. The rewind contest will be postponed till next week due to my unscheduled overtime. But fear not, it will commence. So to all you castaways out there, I hope you had a fantastic Halloween. I hope everything went safe. So thank you for tuning in to the Sink or Swim podcast. My name is Wes Rodriguez, and for Ambrosio and Nigo Montoya, what's your dream?